Hey, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. I'm Dr. Arielle Hammond, and this is the Enrichment Entrepreneur, a podcast for current and aspiring entrepreneurs who are in the business of helping kids thrive. We're talking after school programs, summer camps, tutoring, enrichment, the people and places that show up for kids outside the classroom. I'm still building right alongside you, and that's exactly why we're here, to learn, grow, and figure this out together.
Let's go!
Hey, welcome back. Today's guest is Aarun Carter. She is a national fiddle champion, a professional recording artist, and one of the most dedicated music teachers that I have ever seen up close. I know this because she was my fiddle teacher, and she also is now teaching my daughters. Aarun runs her own private music instruction practice that is built entirely around her craft, and she's mastered this at the highest level. She's also a second-generation enrichment entrepreneur. Her mother built a career teaching this craft full-time before Aarun. Aarun did not just inherit the love of it, she took it a step further. She competes, she records, and her students win championships too. This episode is for anyone who's built something around a skill they love and you want to know how to teach it, sustain it, and pass it on. Aarun, welcome to the Enrichment Entrepreneur.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we always start with a hot take opening question. So your mom built a career doing this. You became a national champion, and now your students are winning too. What does it take to actually pass something like this down, and why do most people miss it?
Really, it takes a lot of dedication. So, growing up, that's all we did as a family together. We went to fiddle contests, we went to jam sessions, we traveled all over and just listened to music constantly. And, the toilet would flush, and my mom would go, "What note do you think that is?" It really takes a lot of dedication. And yeah, some people just kind of do it on the side, which is totally fine. But for us, it was not so much a hobby. It was just kind of a way of life.
What do you think is the difference between those who keep it as a hobby and then those who then make it a way of life and make it a family culture?
Well, doing it as a hobby is really good for brain development, keeping yourself sharp if you're an older learner. And so there are lots of benefits to just doing it. But, some people can't escape the want to just do it for their job and do it for their life. It's usually fairly obvious. Those students I see right off the bat, they're totally committed and it's all they can think about.
Yeah. So can you take us back to when you were a child? How did you grow up inside this craft, and when did you know that you were going to build your life around it as well?
I cannot remember. I think when I was a kid, at one point, I thought I wanted to be a scientist. But other than that, I kind of just wanted to be just like my mom, I guess. So I would see her teaching all the time. And like I said, we would go to fiddle contests, and I would be there. There are videos of my mom playing in a fiddle contest and me on her leg, just hanging on her leg while she's on stage. So I don't know. It just made sense because I loved playing and I put a lot of time into it. Made sense to start teaching when I was 16. And it made sense then, go to college for music. And then it's my job now.
Yeah. How did watching your mom compete and run her practice shape how you think about teaching as a business?
As a business? Well, most of what I do is structured the way that she structured everything. She had been teaching for like 40 years. So she had learned all the lessons that there were to learn about starting this business and doing this business. So a lot of times, I just followed her lead. If I had questions, I would just ask like, "Hey, how do I handle this or that?" And everything down to my payment structure, having a policy and cancellation policies and things like that. I just basically got all of it from her. And I'm very thankful she did all the work
Yeah.
before me.
For an enrichment entrepreneur who they are making a business out of their passion and they want their child or their children to love what they've built, not just learn it out of obligation. What do you think actually works to pass that love and passion for the craft to the next generation?
Making it a positive experience, don't focus on the negative, and just making it a part of life, I think, of everyday life, brushing your teeth, practice violin, that kind of thing. And then really getting involved and doing things with the community as well. That's huge. That's why we do group classes and we go play the national anthem at sports games and try to get all of the kids together, hanging out, do jam sessions. That community aspect of it is key, really, because otherwise, like, okay, well, now what do I do with this talent I have?
Mm.
You want to share it with everyone. So keeping it positive and just making it part of life is really, really the way.
Yeah, so that makes sense why you have group practice beyond the private lessons because it cultivates a sense of community that private lessons cannot. How do you structure group practice so that it moves everyone forward? Because for those who aren't in these practice sessions, we have people who are older all the way to toddlers in the group session. So, how do you make that an experience where everyone moves forward at their rate?
We always like to do review so everyone can review, even the twinkles. And we usually start every group class off with the very first song that they learn so that everyone gets a chance to play. We'll spend a good amount of time keeping the little ones, engaged. Sometimes when they start, the little ones will just, if it's not their turn to play, then they kind of run off and go sit with mom and dad. That's fine. But a lot of times, really, they sit and listen and watch the older kids play. And the listening is huge because I teach by ear. Listening is key. Yes. But also it teaches discipline of being able to sit and listen and be respectful when other people are playing. It's a really good practice and discipline that way too.
Yes, impulse control. That's what we're working on in the Hammond household right now. So it's a good exercise, a good application of that.
And the older kids, they can be examples for the younger kids. They're always looking up to them and they know that they kind of have that responsibility too. We talk about that.
Mhm.
So it's the whole community all working together to help everyone at the same time.
Yeah. So you also do recitals, and recitals can make kids nervous. Why do you do recitals, and how do you get families and kids ready?
Recitals are really important because first of all, it really gives you something to work toward. You know, you're perfecting a piece, things like that. The discipline involved in that is really good. And then you get to share it. Like you can bring your whole family to the recital and everyone can see you at your best playing.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, it can be nerve wracking, but what I've found is as long as you prepare well enough, it's usually okay. And if you get nervous, then, oh, well, whatever. It's okay. You did it. You should feel really good about that. So it gives a sense of accomplishment as well. And it's just a good time to celebrate everything that we have done over the last year. And it's a good benchmark. Last year I played this song. Now I'm playing this really
Mhm.
hard song. And this is how far I've made it. So it's a good celebration time as well.
Yeah, it feels like that. This like ceremonious, everyone coming together, celebrating, making it one more year, and how much everyone has grown in the past year. Yeah, it's
And
really.
again, seeing the other kids as an example. Yep.
Yep. What changes in a student after their first public performance? Do you notice a difference before and after?
Confidence, probably.
Mhm.
Yeah, they gain confidence through that.
Nice. And you also encourage students to compete in old time fiddle competitions. What is the rationale behind going to competitions and events that are around fiddle culture and competing?
Well, first of all, it kind of it's part of my responsibility and our community's responsibility to keep the music going. We don't want it to die. This is an American heritage, so we want to keep it going, pass it down, and not let it fizzle out. I mean, Henry Ford did the first fiddle contest in the United States. I don't remember when it was, maybe like 19, I don't know, 20 something. And
Mhm.
so they've been an important part of our culture for a while. And so I like to get the kids involved in that to keep the music going. But also, again, it's the community. It's going and seeing other kids play and following that example and the discipline it takes to get ready for one and the sense of accomplishment that you get at the end. And I never really put focus on, "Oh, you're going to win. You're going to win." We don't really even talk about that because that's not what it's about. It's about going and doing it and look what you've done now. You can have that sense of accomplishment. And then, if you make a little bit of money, that's pretty cool too.
Yeah. Yeah. Quick break. I'm building NROPS, an all-in-one operations platform built specifically for kids enrichment, entrepreneurs, and operators. I built it because I needed it. Go to getinrops.com to learn more and get on the list. Okay, back to the episode. And if you do win, that's cool too, but that's the purpose. That
Exactly.
reminds me of a book I just finished reading called Inner Excellence, and a guy who trains world-class athletes talked about how the champions, if they don't already have this mindset, he helps them cultivate one that they have appreciation for any competitor, because the competitor, they can't engage in this dance of competing without their competitor, and actually that person helps to make them better, and they're really in relationship and helping one another reach new levels with whatever their craft is. And also, winning is the byproduct. If you have some type of PR for yourself, isn't that winning more so than maybe it was not your best performance, but you just so happen to get first place? And so really seeing the bigger picture as mastery and improving and being your best self, as that is the version of winning. And then you have an internal locus of control over that, over putting forth your best effort versus unknowns, other people who shows up and who performs at that time. Takes the control and the influence internally so you can do your
Mm.
best.
Yeah, and it spills over into every aspect of life, really.
Mhm.
No matter
I
what
can
you
see
want to
that.
do, you want to do it well, and it instills that.
So now I want to talk a little bit about teaching champions. So we talked about excellence and the importance of competition and just getting out there and giving it your all. Your students are winning competitions. What are you doing that produces that outcome?
Well,
Don't be humble.
I don't know. I think it helps that I myself have done competitions and
Mhm.
won competitions, so I really know what it takes, and I know what they're going through. Firsthand, I've been there 100%, and I know I've judged a lot of contests. I get hired a lot to judge, and so I know what the judges are hearing, whether they're in a back room or they're right in front. I know what they're listening for, and I know what songs to teach that will do well in the contest, and it's probably mainly because I've been through all of it myself before, but also because I've judged a lot, and that gives a completely different insight, to competing for sure.
So, how do you make sure that across all age groups, learning their instrument remains enjoyable as they progress?
I think, um, the process that I go through gives them such a sense of accomplishment. Like every song, you have to get it to a certain level and pass it. And then you can you can hear your progress, you can track your progress, and keeping it positive, not, you didn't practice. Some teachers are like that, and that works, and that's fine. But for me, I like to, okay, well, we'll try better next time, or, keep it really positive, because I've seen a lot of violin players that have had that teacher, that just scares them every time they come in. And a lot of times it doesn't last. They don't keep playing and they're burnt out on it. So
Mhm.
keeping it fun, and again, the community things, going to fiddle camps, then they make friends at fiddle camp. Oh, we're going to go back next year. We want to go back and show 'em the new songs I learned and see my friends again. And that's what I do. When I go to contests, I meet up, in different places all over the country and see the same people. Whether it be, I'll go to Texas, I see my little group of people. I go to, wherever. And so the community part of it, I think, definitely gives motivation to keep going, but also just, okay, well, now I'm gonna do a recital. When they get to the end of book 2, they do their own solo recital where they play every piece in book 2, with a pianist, which is pretty big accomplishment, and they can invite all the guests and everything, and that makes them feel really proud and wanna keep going. So yeah, positivity and just keeping things rolling, giving good benchmarks, so that
Mhm.
they can track their progress.
Is that how you also help your students navigate when they become frustrated with their own performance or lack of progress? They have a stuck point and they're on this song that they've been on for the last few months and they've reached that point with themselves. How do you help them move beyond that and navigate that?
Yeah, that's exactly when we do not quit. That is exactly the moment we do not quit. It is so important to not quit. That's such a huge life lesson. Every time those hurdles come up, I've seen a lot of people want to quit, and I will just say, "No, no, 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 no. This is like you could quit any other time, but not right now, not when things get hard, because this is a big lesson to learn." And then, we're just gonna do it again, do it again, do it again, and then look, you can do it. And then those moments when they get past that hump, that is a huge sense of accomplishment because they've made it through this hard point, and we can look back and go, "See, I know that seemed really hard, but look, I knew you could do it. You could do it." So yeah, it's really important not to quit in those moments for sure.
Yeah, and what I hear in your response is, reflecting to them that they didn't, and those moments of perseverance, those moments of resilience, like, "Look, you did that." So because it's gonna happen again, and
Yeah,
next time it's gonna be on something that's even harder, that may
right.
take even longer to master. So, yeah,
Yeah,
highlighting
which is I
that.
mean, it's life too. I mean, we every day we have to do things we don't wanna do, and we hit hard spots, and so it's kinda good training for just life in general.
Yeah, yeah, I'm thinking about me. Use that, yeah, you use that a bit more. Alright, so now we're gonna talk about preschoolers, littles. How do you even begin teaching an instrument to a preschooler? So, how does it work?
Well, first we start with, like, a toy, something just for fun, and it maybe makes sound or it doesn't,
Mhm,
um, and just introducing the idea. It's really the same as, like, learning language, You hear people talk all the time, it's
mhm,
normal, it's a part of daily life, so, "Oh, let's play our violin," and play with the recordings and just basically pretend, pretend to play. And then, we get a violin and we learn how to hold it and be careful with it. And then we start playing basic rhythms. We learn how to clap the rhythms, we sing. And sometimes the first battle is, can you stand in one place for our 15-minute lesson or whatever? And that's, part of what we do. So it really starts with pretending to play and then just introducing simple how to put up the violin, put it back down, put it back up, put it back down, grab
mhm.
the bow, do the bow hold. And sometimes I use, helpers for the bow. There are certain things you can put on the bow that just makes their hand go exactly how it should. But yeah, it really starts out with clapping rhythms and singing and learning how to not throw the violin across the room or something.
Yeah. So what are those, um, skills that show you a child is ready to begin learning, even the clapping, the rhythms? What tells you that they're ready versus maybe not quite yet?
I believe they could start at any age, really. It's to what level,
Right.
but really, I mean, as soon as they come out of the womb, you
I was
know,
gonna make a joke about that, but I was like, "No, she's gonna say, like, you can have them listening to the music,
yeah.
you can their
Yeah,
little hands." Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's just incorporate it in life, which I mean, even if you're not going to take violin lessons, you should still do
Mhm.
music. It's so great for developmental, the brain and everything. So I think it's important from day one. But
Okay.
as far as coming in and taking lessons,
Yeah.
I haven't really had a child that was brought to me that I thought, "No, let's wait, and it's not time yet," because I don't
Mhm.
know, there are ways to teach. I
Mm.
wouldn't go younger than 2,
Yeah.
but
Okay. This is using me as a case study
yeah.
because we started my oldest at 3 when she turned 3, and then we tried with my 2-year-old when she turned 2, and she's a
Mhm.
middle child, so it was different, and my at the time 3-year-old, she listens to me, but then
Mhm.
when I brought my other little one, she wouldn't listen to me, so I thought, "Oh, no, she's not ready to learn from
Not
a
ready.
teacher if she can't listen to her mom in the lesson." So for those parents like me who, want their child to be, respectful and able to follow directions in the lesson.
Yeah.
You think that those children are still ready to maybe start to engage and learn in that formal setting?
I would teach him, yeah.
Okay. All right. We're back at it.
Bring him in.
There again. Okay. She's gonna give me a run for my money. All right, cool. We're in there. Um, so what do you want enrichment entrepreneurs to know about working with that age group, those preschoolers that maybe most people underestimate?
The more you can make things into games, the easier it is.
Yeah.
And, young kids really like repetitions. Turns out you actually need a lot of repetitions to learn an instrument too, so that works out. Repetitions, make it a game. I like to reward. I use coins, as rewards, so, like, okay, if we can do this 5 times, you'll earn an extra coin, and 9 times out of 10, they will gladly do whatever I'm asking them to do. And then they use their coins when they get a certain amount of coins, they can cash them in for a prize. I have a prize box they can pick out of. So those things I've found are absolutely essential to making things work. Just making it fun and making it a game.
Yeah. And we talked a lot about intrinsic motivation and cultivating that, but also extrinsic motivation. There is a time for that. And especially with younger kids, we use the tools that we have. So, okay, now we're going to go to the other end, tips for working with teenagers and adults. How do you reach a teenager who might only be there because their parents signed them up?
Well, I don't really teach people in that position. I mean, just to be honest. I
Okay.
mean, I don't, but there are certain times where teenagers can be teenagers and they're not about it anymore. But I mean, sometimes that's the end of their journey with the violin, and
Yeah.
sometimes getting them involved, like having orchestra at school, I've found is really a game changer when
Mhm.
they hit that age, the teenage years, because peers and school and it is kind of cool to do this. I guess making it cool is is a good way to go about it.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. I stopped as a teenager and we didn't have it in school, so it was something I did on the weekends and on the evenings, and yeah, all of a sudden it didn't feel so cool. But then looking back, when I became an adult, I regretted it. It was so sad. And then I had to get started again, and it was very humbling because so much like regression had happened. So it was like relearning from scratch. Um,
Yeah, and I can only tell kids that so many times, like, look, I have so many people that come to me as adults, so many. I will
mhm,
be out in public meeting new people. I tell them I play the violin. Oh, I used to play. I wish I would have never stopped. Man, I hear it almost daily
mhm.
from people that say, man, I wish I wouldn't have stopped. And then, you try to convey that to a 15-year-old and you can only say it so much. They kind of have to learn on their own.
Yep, yep. What's the biggest mistake you think enrichment entrepreneurs may make when they teach teenagers and adults the same way that they teach kids?
I mean, you have to learn how to teach each person. So every person is different. So one kid that's 14 is completely different than another kid that's 14, really tailoring it to the specific person. I mean, yes, we have like a program that everyone goes through, but what I like to do is okay, well, what kind of music do you like? What do you want to learn one of these songs? What bands do you listen to? How does that relate to what we're doing? And just trying to learn who they are and what they like and then catering to that a bit. while still staying with the program, but,
Mhm.
just really getting them involved.
Yeah, you did that with me. I remember that. What shifts do you make when you work with an adult learner? How do you handle specifically maybe the shame that comes with being a beginner as an adult?
Lots of my adult lessons are half therapy.
I cried at least once.
Pretty much.
I was like, I
Uh,
should have been further.
the
Like,
journey
fine.
is so much different from an adult learner for an adult.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a life and kids and a job, and I didn't have time to practice. Okay, all right, well, let's
Yeah.
practice right now. You showed up. That's what I
Mhm.
always say. They'll say, "Oh, maybe I should cancel my lesson. I didn't." No, go to lesson because you haven't had time to play, and this is the time you've set aside, and let's do it now. Even if, I'm not gonna say, "You didn't practice." I get it. It's life. Sometimes it's just is what it is, and you have to be okay with the pace that you're moving at because it just is what it is. And the hard thing about the adult learners by the time you're an adult, you know really what it should sound like, what you want it to sound like, and it doesn't, and it takes a long time to
Yeah.
make it. The violin is a hard like, you can pick up a guitar and play a chord, and it sounds just fine, or you can hit a key on the piano, and it sounds just fine, but the violin is a different monster,
Mhm.
and, really, it's a good I mean, for an adult, lesson in patience and, just sticking with something. I say sometimes just simply showing up to lesson,
Yeah.
you've won this week.
Yeah. And even more for the adult learner, it's an exercise in self-compassion, like
I
progress.
know I'm always saying, do not be so hard on yourself. Why are you being so mean to yourself? Man, I do have to say that a lot because,
Mhm.
you know, give yourself some grace here.
You see that more so with adults than with younger students. So is it like the older the learner, the more self-judgment that they have?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because I mean, I guess you've had practice in judging yourself your whole life.
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense. All right. That's deep.
Hey, I told you the adult lesson.
For real, like, yeah, no, I was so hard on myself. So now let's talk a little bit more about the business aspect. So how did you get your first students and how did you grow up from there? So you started at 16. Who were
Mhm.
your first students?
Uh, some of my mom's students that wanted supplemental lessons during the week, and as soon as I got my car and my driver's license, I would drive to their houses and, teach them. I only had, like, 2 or 3 at first, but being 16 and, and making money like that just was awesome to me. So I did that for a little while, and then I went to school for music, so I didn't really teach much until I was done with school. One of my violin player friends had worked at a music studio in a town, the next town over, and he was leaving. He was moving away. He's done with school. And so he recommended me. And then I started teaching in there, which is really how I kind of started to hone in my program, the coins that came from that studio, my very first one. And then after that, I moved up to Vancouver, Washington at first, and then I moved to Portland. So when I lived in Vancouver, I really didn't teach much. My mom was teaching. And then once I moved to Portland, I made a Groupon. And to this day, I still have a lot of those Groupon people. My retention rate was really high with those Groupons because I figured out a system of 4 lessons. How can I make them want to keep doing this? And 8 lessons. How can I make them want to keep doing this? So that was the deal. You could
Mhm.
buy 4 or 8 and get a discount. So in my mind, I just thought, okay, well, I just have to make them excited about it within 4 weeks. And for me, that was teaching them a fiddle song and it just worked like a charm. So I built my entire teaching business with Groupon basically. And then from there, it's just been word of mouth mainly. So I have a lot of students that their parents will tell other parents, oh, you
I tell
should.
everybody about you. I do. I'm like, she's great. You live
Oh,
close.
oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so word of mouth, and those are the types of students I really like to get to. And then a couple years ago, I really beefed up my Google um, presence, and I get a ton of inquiries from just Google searches, violin teacher near me or
Hmm.
whatever.
How
That's
did you do that? How did you optimize your presence on Google?
well, before I did not have a Google profile for my business at all.
Mm.
So I made one, Carter Suzuki Violin and Fiddling, the address of my studio, and then I uploaded pictures, the best pictures I could find of me teaching and playing.
Mhm.
And then I, made sure all the info was filled in. And then I went into my website and I used Chat GPT to do SEO on my website
Mm.
and uh, optimize it. And it just worked. I just did everything Chat told me to do.
Mhm. Now I interviewed a guest, you'll have to listen in a couple months when it comes out, who taught me about AEO. So the old way is SEO, search engine optimization,
Uh-huh.
and now it's like the AI recommended results. So like AI engine optimization.
Oh, yeah.
There are different things that like it's a completely different playbook to optimize so that when you ask GPT or Claude or wherever, who's the best fiddle teacher near me, that you come up to the top because you could be ranking really high SEO in Google and then that not translate
Ah,
directly
that's a
to
good point.
AEO. Yeah, it's interesting. I guess apparently it loves Reddit. Like
Yeah.
the AI loves Reddit. Don't we all? I'm always on there. All right. And so this goes to my next question. How do you keep your students coming back year after year? You did that one Groupon, it was really successful, and you kept your students from then, and then more came from just word of mouth through there. How did you keep that initial group and just all of your students? How do you keep them year after year?
I really try to make it so that they love it.
Hmm.
I mean, that's it. Um, there's a, you know, I don't think that you should really have to force kids. I mean, there's some gentle, uh, suggesting and things like that, but it shouldn't be, no, I don't want to go. No, So really just trying to instill the love for the music in them through the way I teach. And I really think that's why everyone has stayed because I just have made it so that they love it. I've shown them what's so great about it and how valuable it is, and they end up loving it. So, yeah, they wouldn't want to quit.
I think people like working with you too. Just,
Yeah.
even if practicing maybe it's like, meh, people still love to go see Miss Aaron.
Yeah, it's
So
true. Yeah. And some teachers are really strict, like if you don't practice enough. And to me, well, okay, well, you're just going to move a little slower. And if that's how we're doing it, and then, then the love starts to grow and then they want to practice. And that's,
yeah, a pull versus a push. What's been the hardest part about running your business?
um, when people have struggles and want to quit and helping to coach through that and just hoping they have enough trust in me that, they'll listen to me and really take my advice. That's the hardest part is when things get tough. Business wise, like I said, that Groupon did so well. I haven't really had a hard time getting students, and I've got, kind of the resume to back it up so people, trust that I know what I'm doing. And then a lot of people see all the kids and know that, you know, I know how to teach. So that hasn't really been hard for me, but I would say it's probably more the like deep personal stuff that is a challenge. But it's part of I love my job, so it's something I love to do.
Mhm. And you work in your own studio versus school programs. I'm sure that throughout the years, people may have asked you to do programs in different like schools and different places like that. Um, what has been the best part of remaining independent in your own studio, and why have you chosen to deliver your lessons in your studio versus different places, different formats?
It's really the level of commitment. I like when people are committed. And a lot
Mhm.
of times in school programs, that's not the vibe, it's fun and which is good, but for me personally, I like when a student is committed and I get to do my job and really help them get better. In a school setting, it's harder because it's almost like you can't play by your own rules. They're a different set of rules, so it's not my favorite environment to teach in for sure. It's
Mm,
not my cup of tea.
I overstand. I get it. So if you were starting over again with nothing but your skill and your reputation, what would be the first thing you would do to get started?
Make a Groupon. I don't know.
Look, when you said it, I was like, I think the time for Groupon is I think Groupon is
It's
like its
done now.
best
Yeah,
days
I
are
don't
a
think it
little
works
behind it.
now,
But
but
people
it did at
still
the
use it
time.
sometimes, but it's a hit and hit or miss. Hit or miss.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
I say Groupon, but if you can, like, make some sorta deal, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I have a intro package of discounted, you know, something
Mhm.
like that. Maybe not necessarily I don't use Groupon anymore. I don't think
I
a lot of people
know.
do.
But maybe people do for some things, so that might be worthwhile. And if you're getting started, yeah, be more flexible on the pricing to get people in the door and then
Yeah.
let your talent speak for itself, and that's how you keep your clients longer term, and then they convert to your regular price.
Yeah, but I mean, also, I would probably go back and, focus my website more towards teaching because a lot of the time it's hard for me to know where how to focus my website because
Mhm.
I play in bands and I record and I teach. And so it's like, do you want your landing page to be just about teaching or just about recording? Kind of have to have a good balance. So I think if I had to go back, it would be, you know, with the knowledge I have now of how to do my website.
Mm, that makes sense. So, for the enrichment entrepreneur sitting on something that they love and they're wondering if it's worth building a real business around it, what would you want them to take from your story?
Well, my philosophy with making my love my job has always there's one rule I live by, and if I don't want to do it, I don't do it.
Mm.
And it's really made for it, enjoy my job a lot. And if I'm in a band that I don't enjoy or I'm working for someone that I don't enjoy, then I just don't do it anymore. And that has served me so well. That is my greatest piece of advice. If you're not enjoying it, like to a point where you're not, I mean, there are some, we all have to do things we don't want to do, but if it's really unenjoyable, then just ditch it and do the things that you want to do because you have that freedom.
Yes, we have that choice,
Hmm.
and making sure that it doesn't feel like an obligation from the very beginning. If it's just
Yeah, because you still want to keep it as your love. I
Mm.
still love playing music. And I think if you make it too jobby, that's when it loses its luster.
Yeah, now that I think about it, you say that, I think you're like the only person I know who's made their passion also their business and still loves their passion. I don't know anyone else doing that
Oh,
and
well,
really loving it and continuing the culture, fiddle culture, continuing to fly throughout the country to judge the competition, to help host them and things like that. Yeah, your contributions aren't just to yourself and your love of playing. It's to continue and spread this culture and keep this as part of American history. Yeah. So I would implore anyone listening who's considering applying their passion to, their entrepreneurial journey to really take heed in Aaron's advice because yeah, it's pretty rare. A lot of people, what I hear most often is it was my passion, now that I do it as my business, not so much.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, it took many years though, but also don't short sell yourself. I mean, I was playing gigs for like $100 a gig and I'd have to drive 4 hours you know, then I just quit
Wild.
taking those. And
Hmm.
then I started only getting the good gigs. And I was like, oh, okay,
Hmm.
cool. And
Yeah,
so there were things I had to learn, like just don't short sell yourself. Don't do it if you don't want to.
that's real. Aaron, so thank you so much for speaking with me today. I'm sure our listeners got so much just from hearing your story. If listeners want to learn more, they want to follow your journey and maybe get in touch, how should they do that? How can they follow your journey?
You can find me at aaroncarter.com, AARUN Carter.com, YouTube and Instagram as well.
All right, Aaron, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. This was amazing, and I'm sure the listeners got so much out of this. I'll talk to you again soon. I'll see you at the next lesson. And one more thing, remember, I'm building NROPS, finally, an all-in-one platform built specifically for kids, enrichment, entrepreneurs, and operators. We're talking everything all in the same place. Finally, from scheduling to instructor management to partner and parent communication, to onboarding and registration, all of it. I built it because we need it. So go to getinrops.com to get on the list. See you next episode. And that's a wrap. Know someone who needs to hear this episode? Share it because
Sharing is caring.
if this episode earned it, give us all the stars in a review on whatever platform you're listening on because it helps other enrichment entrepreneurs find this show.
Until next time, keep learning, keep building.